Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Stuff and Things Podcast. I am Sam. Joining me today on this Marvel Monday to discuss the Marvel movie Eternals. It's my partner in crime, it's Stefan.
It is me, I am here, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, my friend. Are you keeping well?
I'm trying to, yeah.
Yeah, well, you are literally dodging COVID bullets right now.
Yes.
You have multiple children in the house suffering with it.
Yes.
Well, I say suffering, that they're fine, but
They're
tested
absolutely
positive.
fine. They think they have bloody superpowers.
Yeah. Well,
And,
isn't your youngest now wanting to become the latest Marvel hero, in fact?
Yes, he is going to become COVID Boy, apparently, yeah. He's a 4-year-old, and he's convinced his name is now COVID Boy.
COVID boy. Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun. What's your superpower? I can clear an airport.
Yeah. What's your superpower? Watch me sneeze. No.
Yeah, I can clear a crowded room with one cough. Yes, so that aside, we are here talking about the Marvel spectacular movie of
Yes.
epic proportions, Eternals. It's kind of like a Marvel film in the sense of every now and again in the phase 1, for example, I found Guardians of the Galaxy. When I heard about the premise of that, I was like, this isn't going to make sense. This is weird.
What the heck? Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I heard the premise of Doctor Strange again, I was like, oh, we're bringing in magic. What? This is
Yep.
going to be weird and everything. So we get to
And then
Eternals.
Shang-Chi brought in dragons.
Yeah, Shang-Chi just took it to a whole next
Yeah.
level.
What is happening now? Yeah.
And then we got Eternals. Now, it's funny actually because of the release schedule of these things. Technically, we should have done this show earlier, but I wanted to wait until it was on Disney Plus because, unlike Spider-Man, where people literally rushed to the cinemas, Eternals, a lot of people didn't. Think pandemic and also,
Yeah.
what is this?
I think so, yeah. Where it's lesser known, it seems like even if you look at things like Twitter, TikTok, and all of that, when it first came out, there was a rumbling around it, and then it got released on Disney Plus, and all of a sudden, there's Easter eggs and theories. It's everywhere.
People have really watched it now, I think.
Yeah.
I also think there's an element of it, and we'll start the discussion with this, because you said to me a couple of times, like, the movie's fine, but it just didn't feel like a Marvel movie to you, like an MCU movie.
Yeah, like if I rated it, say I rated it a 6 or a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
If it had been a Marvel movie but not connected to the MCU, it probably would have been a 7 to an 8. If this had been released just by a random studio and this is a cool film about this, probably would have been an 8 or a 9.
See, that's
it was
very
one of
funny.
those sort of
It's
films.
funny to me. It's like when you do that, you've basically got an expectation in your brain of what you think it should be and how it should fit, and when it doesn't, it's like no.
Yeah, so for me, this is a really strange sort of analogy, whatever it's called, but this is how I base things. That's it. This is how I base films in the cinema.
Yep.
I have got a bad lower back.
True.
From an old work injury and stuff, and every now and again it plays up.
Yep.
Cinema seats are not the comfiest thing in the world.
No.
So I rate how good a movie is by how my back deals with it.
Interesting.
This sounds stupid. So when we saw Spider-Man at the theatre, I've now seen Spider-Man 3 times.
Yes, you have.
One of them was in the weird 4DX, so that doesn't count.
No.
But the 2 times I've seen it in the cinema, I have sat there the whole way through, just fixated on the oh my wow of the screen.
Yeah.
I saw another film recently, The Kingsman.
Yeah.
The original, like the prequel of that.
Yeah.
And the whole way through, my back was playing up and I was fidgeting in the chair, trying to get comfy, moving around in the chair. And that's how I base it. I didn't rate the Kingsman film very good.
No.
It didn't absorb me into the film. So therefore, because I'm not completely absorbed with it, I'm kind of moving and fidgeting, my back's playing up. And
you feel
like
the
this.
same way about Eternals?
Eternals, not as much.
No.
But I did notice 2 or 3 times in the cinema I was kind of moving around, repositioning myself.
It's kind of making me think now, like the old lady in the village who says her knee's playing up, so it's gonna snow soon.
Very similar, yeah. If the film doesn't completely
your
absorb
back plays
me,
up.
I can feel my. If I get when Spider-Man finished and I stood up, I stood up at the end of it. I went, oh jeez, my back. Oh crap. Oh. Yeah. But because I'm so engrossed in the movie, I'm almost ignoring it.
I do get the point you're making, but I do think this is going to become a thing now where basically when you finish watching a film, I'm going to ask you if your back hurts.
Yes, it could be, yeah. How was your back? Only one twitch. Only one twitch?
Ooh,
good movie.
Yeah, good. I mean, the thing about the Eternals movie...
part, obviously.
Oh, God. See, the thing about the Eternals movie for me is it felt a lot like the kind of films... I don't know whether they were going for this or not, or whether it's just me, but it felt a lot like the kind of films I watched as a kid, like Jason and the Argonauts, these kind of epic... I
loved that movie, yeah.
Do you know what I mean, though? It's like they were going for that kind of theme to it, which, ironically, is kind of what DC have tried to do with Wonder Woman and stuff like that. Like, make it these... anthology through time kind of epic storytelling.
Yeah.
Given the characters and given, how it works, it made perfect sense. But there were definitely parts of the film that if and I'm happy to critique it as we go through, there are bits where I think, I kind of feel like that could have, that was okay. I think if they'd done this, it would have been better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get you. And it's fun because I've come out of it and there's characters like Sprite, Phastos.
Yeah.
People like that, where I'm like, and Makari, who I'm like, I can't wait to see them in something else. Yeah. Like, they're really cool characters, like Sprite and her ability to kind of do the illusions and stuff.
Yeah.
Can you imagine her with Doctor Strange and the Mirrorverse?
Well, I was thinking of her and Loki. They drive each other insane.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I'm like, that really got me going. And then there was other characters where I was just a bit like, Thena, for example.
Yeah,
she's like warrior princess. Yeah, great. Losing her mind. Okay, that's an interesting storyline. But it's not a storyline where I was like, oh, I can't wait for that to be in like another... I can't wait for her to cameo in another film because that'll be... It didn't spark me like that.
No, I don't... The thing with Thena... Because, I mean, let's just do this quickly just to run through. So the Eternals, Cersei, Icarus, Thena, Ajak... Kingo, Sprite, Phastos, Makari, Druig, and Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
That's them, innit? I've not missed anyone.
That is all of them.
Oh, man, thank goodness, because that's a mouthful to say, by the way.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of characters.
Each of them have got their own kind of ability. Now, Icarus, I've written down here, and it's something I wanted to pick out to you anyway, and I know it happens in the film, but... Icarus is basically Superman. Can fire lasers from his eyes, can fly. Yeah. Very strong, etc., etc. Dude, in this film, a child calls him Superman.
Okay, how angry did you get at this?
Well, I'm not angry, to be honest with you. I was kind of... Because, let me just run through me first. You tell me. So, for me, it was kind of like... I don't know, anger's the right word, just kind of shock, really, because in this world, the MCU, where everything's set, you kind of work on the basis that comic books, etc., and these characters don't exist, because they exist in real life. Mm-hmm. So comic books, these things aren't there. They don't exist.
The only person I would say comic books might exist about is Captain America, because of how he started and the propaganda in the war.
Yeah,
apart from him, I would say, no, you're not going to have an Iron Man comic because he's actually outside fighting.
Well, this is it. So I don't know about that. I'm kind of like, it wouldn't make sense. Why would you make up these superheroes when they're real? They are there. So I'm kind of like, that's such a weird thing. Now, was he just calling him a Superman and it's kind of like a nod over to DC, like, hey, what up, and that was it. But it's not how he phrases it, is you are Superman, and he says, I don't have a cape. So you have literally referenced the comic book character now.
Yeah.
So that means that comic books exist in this universe, and so Marvels don't exist, but DC... So you're basically saying that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, comic books exist and they're all DC.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
why?
It's bizarre.
For me, it was the kid said it, and I think I turned around to my wife instantly and went, why does he know that person? Why is that? Why that reference? That's so... Why? Just why?
You said it angered you. What was it about it that annoyed you?
I think it was that. It was the whole comic book reference, and the whole big thing with the whole fandoms is they are separate entities.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with a lot of fans. Like, you're either MCU or you're DC.
No,
and
I enjoy some from both.
And yeah, I enjoy both, so I don't agree with that. But I know a lot of people do and stuff. But yeah, they are two completely separate entities.
Yeah.
You know, that's like having, I don't know. So I mentioned the Kingsman earlier.
You did.
And them turning round and someone driving past in a car and one of the characters going, "Oh, that's the James Bond car."
Yeah.
They're separate. It's all separate universes. They're not linked in any way.
No.
I know the comics have had crossovers and stuff, and I know the crossovers do exist. But as far as the MCU and DC are involved, they're not. They don't know each other exist. They're not the same thing.
No, it seems... Because it is a throwaway line. So it is literally one moment. It's not like throughout the whole film there's stuff embedded in it. The fact... And it is a kind of obvious thing. Like, you've got this character... He obviously resembles Superman in his abilities. So anybody who's a fan of comics... Look, Superman transcends comic culture, doesn't it? You know, you say the word Superman to anybody, whether they've watched the films, the comics, anything, they will know what that is.
I'm a massive MCU fan, and even I had a pair of Superman. Like, they made a pair of high top, like, skate trainers.
Yeah.
And at one point there was Superman and Batman, and I had a pair of Superman ones, and my best mate at the time had the Batman ones. And they were bright blue and red with the S on the front and the side. Like, they were proper geek out trainers. And I had the Superman trainers. And anywhere you went, anyone looked at the colours, and people would say, "Oh, Superman trainers."
Yeah.
Because of the colours, it's so... Like I say, it's such a universal thing.
It has transcended culture, pop culture. It just is there. It's an effect. So I do get the idea that if that is real and you're trying to base this in the real world, someone would look at me and go, "Well, he's just like Superman."
Yeah.
But we've all, up to this point, the MCU is the real world, grounded in reality, but without any comic book reference. So why hasn't anyone at any point ever gone, "Wow, are these comics actually based on real people then?" Like, you know, I had this comic about this, you know, this guy called the Green Arrow, and now I've got a guy called Hawkeye in real life. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you're opening up that DC Comics exist in this universe, why ain't anyone drawing parallels left, right, and centre?
God, you're really quick. You must be like the Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does open this massive tangent, and it's kind of like, obviously Kevin Feige has approved it. Obviously Disney have approved it. Marvel approved it. Obviously DC Comics have approved it, because you're going to use the word Superman in the context. You're going to have to get their permission. So, you know, obviously everyone's just gone, yeah, it's funny throwaway line. I think from a fan point of view, you can overthink it, which me and you probably are. We've talked about it for nearly 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You've got this whole movie to discuss, and we're talking about one line.
There's this bit where an alien comes out in the middle of... No, shut up. Yeah. He said Superman.
Exactly. And, like, so, yeah, it can just be overall. And I do think sometimes, and I know I do this, but if I was Kevin Feige, head of these studio stuff, I'd throw stuff like that in every now and again, just to send people like me and you nuts.
And it works, the bastard.
He's
a
really
god,
worked.
But he's a bastard.
Yeah, absolute hero amongst men, but you bastard, Kevin. Yeah. So we're going to move on from it, but yeah, it was a weird thing, and I wonder how many people watching this, like casual fans, etc., watched that and suddenly went, "Hey." I know. For example, one of my sisters went, "That was really funny. I wondered when Superman was going to be in these films." I'm like, seriously, don't. Different comics, don't just stop
don't even
it.
go for
Stop
it. Don't even. See, like, I get enough. Like, just listen to the last thing on our tangent. Last thing. Okay. Yeah. I had a framed canvas. Brought for me as a Christmas or birthday present a few years ago, and it's all the superhero characters sat in theatre seats. People listening to this may have seen it online and stuff. It was quite a well known. It was everywhere, this canvas.
Yeah,
and they're all sat in a cinema, and you got like the film projector thing over the top of them, so the screen's coming down, and the idea is that the person looking at the thing is the camera, is the cinema screen.
Yeah, yeah.
And you've got all these different people, and they're all sat there. But Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash are all sat in there as well.
Yeah, they
but
are,
you've got like Wolverine and all that. It's proper MCU with just these four, and it really annoyed me. Like, it went up on my wall because it was a present, and every time I looked at it, I was like, it's really annoying because it's like, I understand it's just a generic superhero thing, but there's so many Marvel characters in there. Why have you thrown those four in it?
Well, yeah. I guess you're just picking out iconic characters.
Yeah.
And the MCU have made a lot more characters iconic.
Yeah, it's like, you know, the picture, the famous picture of the builders sat on the girder having their lunch.
Yeah.
There's loads of those around. It's like Wolverine, Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Superman. And I'm like, it's almost 3/4 of that is brilliant, and then you've put Superman from the wrong universe, you bastards.
Oh, it's stupid because Superman would just fly off. But
exactly.
Anyway,
yeah.
So those are the main characters. We talked about the Eternals. We rattled off the main characters.
Yes.
We also have Kingo has a manservant called Karun,
who is brilliant.
Who's great. Real fun parts of the film.
Yeah.
And we also have a character called Dane Whitman, who's dating Cersei.
Yeah. Now, some people who listened to our podcast before might recognise him from another show.
Yeah, so let's dive into that straight away. So we're going to deal with the Dane Whitman thing and move on. So Dane Whitman's played by an actor called Kit Harington. Kit Harington famously starred in the TV show Game of Thrones, an adaptation of the Song of Ice and Fire books by George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
Kit Harington famously said on the show to another character, had a conversation with another character called Robb Stark. Robb Stark on the show is played by a guy called Richard Madden, who plays Icarus.
Yes.
One of the Eternals, and he famously said to him, the next time I see you, you're going to all be in black. Those two characters never shared a screen again. Spoiler alert, one of them dies. Badly. By the way, if you've not seen Game of Thrones yet, that's on you.
There's an episode called Red Wedding. Skip it.
Skip it. Do yourself a favour. So what's kind of amusing is in this scene, he's wearing black.
Yes.
Do you feel that was done deliberately, or is that just a pure happenstance? It's just happened.
That's just pure. I believe that is just pure genius coincidence.
I think it's genius coincidence. I don't think Dane wearing black's a coincidence, though.
No.
I think Dane wearing black is because of a very obvious reason. There is a Marvel Comics character whose alter ego is Dane Whitman, and he is the Black Knight.
Yes.
Who, in lots of adaptations of the comics, the Dane Whitman adaptation, for example, is part of the Avengers.
Yep.
So we have met here a character who has a role, and at the end of this film and in the after credits scene, we do get that. We do get a little hint of there is something there. He tries to sell Cersei, doesn't he? He's like, oh, I got something to tell you. You know, we're talking about secrets and stuff. I've kind of got a little bit of info, and then she's gone.
Yeah.
We see him reach for the sword in the after credits scene.
The ebony blade, yeah.
And we hear a voice.
Now,
do you know who the voice is?
I do know who it is now, and it's not who I thought it was in the cinema.
Who did you think it was in the cinema?
I generally thought Nick Fury in the cinema.
Interesting.
Well, actually, no. My first thought was, oh my god, Morgan Freeman. No, that's stupid. No, it's not Morgan Freeman. That's not even similar. Yeah. Not even... No, Stefan. That's got to be Nick Fury. Oh my god, this is called Nick's Back on Earth. And then I watched the film again.
Yeah.
And again, after it's in, I was like, it's not Nick Fury's voice, but I recognise that voice.
That was where I was. I was like, I know, because my initial thought was, anytime there's an after credit for a new character, it's Nick Fury.
Exactly, yeah.
So my initial feeling was like, we were gonna have the Avengers like like pan up on Nick, just go, I want to talk to you, Dane, and then that'd be it. But we just heard a voice and nothing else, and I'm like, no, it's definitely not him.
Yeah.
But I looked it up. Who it was. So we can exclusively reveal to the listeners of this show, if you don't know, that is the voice of a Marvel character who's not debuted in the MCU yet, Blade.
Oh, I am so looking forward to that movie. That's a side part, but yeah. So this is a new character to the MCU.
This is a new character to the MCU, and we don't even see him on screen. That's so strange.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just
such a strange after credit, yeah. But anyway, so back to the film. So basically, the Eternals came to Earth 7,000 years ago, which has already caused a lot of very religious people a brain aneurysm, but we'll just park that somewhere and forget that's going on. But they arrived 7,000 years ago, and each sort of came there with a view of killing the deviants, and they were sent by a celestial named Arishem.
Yes.
So let's just dive into that quickly. The MCU has told us about Celestials before. Guardians of the Galaxy actually did a very good demonstration of what the Celestials are. They're linked quite heavily, of course, with the stones.
The Infinity Stones themselves, yes.
So the Celestials, we know all about them. We've actually met a Celestial Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and we know that Peter Quill is half Celestial.
Yes.
Which is strange. Of all the people, Peter Quill shouldn't be half Celestial.
No.
The guy, no. Yeah. But funny, nonetheless.
Yeah.
So we have met a Celestial in Ego before. Now this is Arishem, who basically has told them that these are heroes from the planet Olympia, and they've been sent to kill deviants. Until the reveal in the film that they're not from a planet called Olympia, were you buying that, or did you think it was sus from the start?
No, I was all in.
The thing that I thought was sus from the start, because I didn't pick up on they were made, all that stuff. The thing I thought was sus from the start is Celestial sent them to kill the deviants.
Yep.
The deviants were killed. Why are they still there? And why? What is this threat? What are the deviants? If they just been like a byproduct, why are the Celestial? So my brain was kind of naturally asking these questions anyway.
So I think I was more asking the same question as a lot of people are asking, which is, if you're there to protect the planet, where the heck have you been for the last 10 years of MCU?
Well,
and
this is
it does get explained in the film of
it's funny that it's asked. Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like sometimes when you get lines like that in films, it's because they know every member of the audience is going to be thinking it, so it's better to get it out the way.
We're here to protect the Earth. What about Thanos? Well, yeah, he wasn't a deviant, so...
And it is Dane who says it. I mean, Dane's like, why didn't you fight against Thanos? Why, or all the other horrible stuff that's happened? And I think something that the film did quite well is it showed a real emotional impact on, certainly Phastos, but on the Eternals as a whole, of the fact that they were obeying their celestial master, in essence, who they, to all extent and purposes, they treat as their god.
Yeah, and it's all kind of done through the character of Ajak as well. Only one person is allowed to go meet him, and she brings back the orders and stuff. And, yeah. And
so it's
very... like you say, they're God almost. He commands what they are and cannot and can do. And
and so they have obeyed this order, which is they stay out of the way of human development. Into all human conflicts, they must stay neutral. And we see throughout the film, they struggle with that, especially Druig. So each of them have got these abilities. Cersei's abilities kind of like to alter the state of matter, in essence. So, if she touches water, she can turn it into wine. I noticed they didn't do that, by the way. That was probably brave.
Can you imagine? That would be 7,000 years ago, people are going, water to wine.
Already, there's certain people walking out the cinema the minute you said 7,000 years. So
Next thing
Icarus,
she walks across water and turns water to wine. No,
that cracked me up. Athena, as we know, like a warrior princess, and throughout history there are various versions of Athena, which is kind of funny, and they reference that a lot, which is funny. Ajax, the leader, as we know. Kingu's kind of got laser hands.
He's basically from Dragon Ball Z. Yeah.
Again, that's a reference over my head, but
he's got these like weird kind of powers. Yeah. That he creates like an energy bullet in his hand, like lasers out of his hands or something. Yeah.
Okay. Sprite with the illusions,
which is awesome.
Phastos, basically like inventions, technology. The guy's like a whiz, and is a genius. There's a scene in the film which is quite funny. They're a part of a civilization, I think in South America, or no, it might be Babylon. and he's developed from all the stuff they've got there a steam engine, and he's thrilled, he's delighted with himself, and all of them are like, no, that's too advanced for them.
Yeah.
And he's like, fine, here's a plough.
Yeah.
He's just like so cross about it.
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's a character that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, me too. I like first thoughts. Makari is a speedster, to borrow the term from DC, by the way, which is their term, speedster.
Yeah, she is, Quicksilver on steroids.
Yeah, me and you have discussed this, that we felt the MCU adaptation of Quicksilver wasn't great.
Yeah.
We felt the X-Men version, for example, has been shown to be far more powerful, far better.
Yeah.
But yeah, the MCU version, I
They
think
definitely laughed at Quicksilver with this.
I think the MCU version, I've got a feeling was Joss Whedon, I'm not sure, but it just didn't live up to what you'd expect or what you'd want.
No.
You could argue a lot of it was the way that Quicksilver was created in the MCU was the Hydra experiments, blah, blah, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So perhaps he wasn't fully aware of his powers. If he'd been trained, then maybe he'd be better. You could have all these debates about it. But when I had a character with super speed in my mind, this is what you're thinking. Yeah. This is because there's a fight scene between her and Icarus. Icarus is far more powerful, far stronger, but she beats the crap out of him because he can't get a shot in.
Literally can't see her.
Yeah. And that's, that is the thing. It's like that super speed, it is such a weapon and such an advantage in everything. And she's also, by the way, on several occasions in this, a real impatient sod, which I liked that aspect of her character was built in. Because
she's super quick and super quick-tempered and got a super quick patience span. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's funny because if you do travel everywhere like a blink of an eye, of course you're going to be impatient. Let's all travel over there. I'm there. What? When are you lot going to get?
I'm plane. It's going to take 6 hours. I can be there in 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like the funny thing.
A fun nod as well, just quickly. So Lauren Ridloff, who plays the character.
Yeah.
Phenomenal actress. Those who know the podcast know we talk about her in The Walking Dead as well.
We do.
She is deaf. She actually credits Angelina Jolie for a lot of her acting in this movie.
Okay.
Because she really struggled with the CGI scenes.
Yeah.
With getting the cues and stuff of where to look at the right time.
Makes sense.
Because a lot of them are noise cues and stuff.
Yeah.
So Angelina Jolie had a laser pointer.
Yeah.
And instead of when the noise cue went, she pointed a laser pointer and stuff for her.
Oh, that's amazing.
To help keep it. And yeah, she did an interview and she really credits Angelina Jolie for it. For helping her in the movie.
That's great. I like that. I like hearing that because Angelina Jolie's part in this movie I didn't think was that big, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
She was part of an ensemble cast, but with her stature, you were kind of expecting her to be more
she's
of a
the biggest
star.
name, let's be honest. Of all those people, she is the big name.
Yeah, and so, I mean, to a certain extent, it was nice that she wasn't, and clearly she played a very good supporting role in every aspect, which is really great to hear. I like that.
Yeah.
Just to finish in then, so Gilgamesh, in essence, I'm thinking just power.
Yeah.
The guy, stomps his feet, throws a punch, and it is,
He's the whole
really
group,
powerful.
yeah.
In essence, yeah. And then Druig is mind control.
Yeah.
Which takes us back to where we were, which is when they argue about, basically they're there and one side have got guns and they're slaughtering another side. It's extermination, it's mass slaughter.
Yeah.
And he won't stand for it.
Yep.
So he uses his ability just to take over all of them and just marches them off, to go live somewhere else.
Mm.
And then we find out centuries later he's basically still living amongst their descendants, controlling them, which is weird.
It's got slight wonder sort of hints, but and he was saying he can feel the pain and he watches it all and he can't do anything. Can you imagine what that's like?
No.
Watching all of these wars and everything happen knowing
because
you can stop it instantly, but you're not allowed to.
There's the scene with Fastos, and they're talking about, some of us, he turned his back on humanity a long time ago.
Yeah.
And you see him just in pieces over the atomic bomb being used in World War II.
Yep.
And he is just devastated. And it's probably, for him, he basically created technology on our planet. So from his point of view, although, the scientists who invented the atomic bomb say, I've become the destroyer of worlds, and, to this day, I think all of them would say they regret it.
Yeah.
He literally was the founder of technology. So he has taken all of that blame on himself.
Yeah, he's created something which led them on the way to creating that. So,
Yeah. And and so it's very difficult for him. And also their kind of mission, they were told, was to protect humans from deviants and help them thrive, help them live, help them grow. So seeing them murder each other in these kind of massive extinction almost level events kind of goes against what they were there to do, but at the same time they're not allowed to interfere.
Yes, it's difficult.
Difficult. It's an interesting dynamic. So to try and run through a few things then. It starts in London, the film, with Cersei. She's working at a museum. I kind of, again, got Wonder Woman vibes with that. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
That was kind of a bit synergy with a DC film. She's got a Sprite with her. Sprite would appear to have shown up with her a while back and is stuck around. And Dane refers to her as Sprite's her niece, I think she says.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and so they're... Cersei is basically in love. By the way, again, Game of Thrones reference. How weird must that have been for Kit Harington to be in love with a character called Cersei?
Yes.
Yeah, just again a little nod there. Yeah. But yeah, sorry. So Sprite's there, and she's calling him Auntie. But the funny thing is we see that Sprite has told Dane everything, told him the truth, and he just thinks that she's making up funny stories.
Yeah, I love the scene there where she's in the museum.
Yeah.
And she's using her powers to bring all the skeletons to life.
Yeah.
And then, turn it back again. That you think that's a saber-toothed tiger. Actually, it's a deviant.
Yeah, actually, that's a deviant.
What are you on about? And Fina up there, it's actually Fina, not Athena.
Yeah.
And she goes through the whole thing and he's just like, yeah, all right, kid.
Yeah, and that's funny.
All right, kid.
But the funny thing is when the stuff hits the fan, it clicks in his brain. Because, of course, he lives in a world where all of these amazing things have happened. Thanos snapped his fingers and half the world went away and then came back. He lives in this world. So when someone tells a story like that, he's kind of like, yeah. But then a minute something happened that meant it could be true, his brain went, oh, wow, okay. So she literally told me that your ex-boyfriend, you were dating him for thousands of years and you broke up 3 centuries ago. So that's true. And then he shows up.
Yeah.
Which was kind of awkward.
Yep.
But yeah, we have that kind of funny Icarus and Dane moment. I think for Game of Thrones fans that was desperately needed. We learn, so actually, I had a question for you, and I'll put it in here because we're jumping around anyway. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
but I'll put it in here. We learn in this that the Eternals were created by Arishem, so in essence, they are an artificial intelligence. And by that I mean they're just not human. I think of them more like Vision, I guess. Each of them.
Yeah. Does
that mean they weren't blipped? Does that mean they were immune to being blipped?
It does beg the question for sure.
Because I don't think we really, because it wasn't referenced, the blip, it was referenced in this film heavily, but impact on them and the group of them, you'd imagine that they'd say Thanos snapped away half the universe and Dave.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
None of them mention it, and they talk about the fact that after the snap this happened. So yeah, they must be.
Yeah.
But then, are they immune to it because of what they are? But then at the same time, Star-Lord gets blipped.
Yeah.
So he is part Celestial. So that doesn't quite. They just got lucky.
Well, yeah, and you're possibly right.
There's 9 of them. They just got really lucky.
Massively, yeah, definitely. I mean, and they were dotted all around the world, so I guess they're all right.
It's not like they were all sat in the same room around a table and went, "What was that?"
Yeah. Well, they just carried on as normal because none of them vanished. You
Yeah.
could hear screaming outside, and they're like, "What's going on?" But yeah, sorry. I'm not sure either. I think like you, because they're classed as artificial life, but they are alive.
Yes, and they have very much have emotions and feelings. Like we find out with Sprite and her feelings for Icarus and stuff. They very much, and Cersei with Dane to an extent as well. Like they have emotion, they have feeling, and everything else. So as much as they are artificial, are they artificial? You know, it's one of those sort of things. Isn't it? I guess.
Yes. I mean, you could easily go round on that debate, couldn't you?
Of course,
shadow of a doubt.
Fastos. I can't get his name right. I won't get his name right.
Just go Fastos. That's how
Fastos. Obviously, he's married with child.
Yeah.
So of course they've got the feelings and emotions, and they can feel love and compassion. And
but
Drury shows their compassion and stuff. Yeah.
He wouldn't be devastated by what humans were doing to each other if he didn't feel that.
Yes.
This actually, you talking about him being married, actually brings up a really great thing that I wanted to talk about. Because one of the criticisms, when this film came out, one of the criticisms I saw a lot was MCU pandering to woke agenda stuff. And I was kind of like, I've been looking forward to this film. It had this kind of like mythology was going to be weaved into it, which I'm a real big history nerd.
Yeah.
So I think I said to you, it's like, I'm really looking forward to this. I really hope it's not bad. I finished watching the film. The film's quite long. It's like 2 hours 20 or something like that. And I finished watching the film. There was not one part of me that felt any of that was forced.
No, not at all. Like, if they had made a big 20-minute scene in the film all about the fact, this character's gay, and they made a massive deal out of it, then you'd sit there going, here we go. But it wasn't. That was his family. That was his relationship. That was it. Okay.
The only scene in the MCU I've ever felt was forced was the girl power scene in Endgame.
Yep. I know what you mean, yeah.
That, to me,
We've got it from
here.
I
apologise if that's offending anyone. That felt forced to me. That felt like you've done this because there was no storyline aspect to it that made sense.
Yep.
Everyone's fighting this big battle, and all of a sudden every woman thinks, "Oh, I know, we'll team up." It's just like that made no sense to me. And it felt really forced and naff, and I didn't like it. Now, when it comes to this, and this film finished, the fact that there was a character in it who was deaf was just there was a character who was deaf. There was at no point was that made a big. It was just that was normal.
Someone actually made a point. Someone made a point that was a really great point. If you're running that fast and continuously going through the sound barrier, how can you expect the character to not be deaf?
That's
and I was
valid.
Like, a completely throwaway thing. It was I think it was just someone on Twitter trying to shut someone up. Yeah. But at the same time, I was like, actually, when you go through the sound barrier, that's a hell of a bang. If you're doing it constantly, your ears aren't going to work.
Yeah. So there's that aspect, and the character, like you said about Fastos being gay. Again, it was just there was no big deal made out of it. So when people talk about things being forced.
Yeah,
we live in a world where people love who they love and stuff like that. So of course that's just going to be reflected in TV and films.
Being really cynical about it, there's 9 of them. Yeah. It would have been more unrealistic if none of them were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's bizarre, but I think it's just the evolution of people and what they see in TV and films being more reflected.
People see what they want to see. Like if someone wants to see a problem, they're going to see a problem.
You're right, but just I did want to make the point though, because I did read a lot of that heading into the film, and so it was already in my mind, but then the film finished and I was like, none of that was forced. There was I never felt like anything was being shoved down my throat, so to speak, in that. It was fine, like it was just normal, everything was normal. So like I said, I wanted to get that sort of said. I want to talk about one other thing which is very rare, but the trailer to this ruined something for me.
Okay.
So, do you remember the trailer?
Vaguely, yeah.
Saw it, but in the trailer, there's this great scene where Ajax is talking to Icarus, and she says to him, all the people of this planet, Thanos snapped away half the universe, and then the people of this little planet brought them all back,
Yeah.
And it's a big thing. It's a real big line from the trailer that everyone picked up on.
Yeah.
And of course, it's in the film. But we discover that Ajax is dead before that happens in the film.
So, okay, I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is genuinely the thing I think that took me out the movie the most.
Okay.
The jumping around. I genuinely believe this would have been a better film if it had been, it started 7,000 years ago and it worked through it in the chronological order to today.
Yeah.
And then one flashback would have been needed, and in that one flashback, Icarus admits Ajax's plan. And that she's the baddie sort of thing. If they'd have done it that way, I think the film would have been better. Because there was so much present day. 600 years ago, present day. 12 years ago, present day. 8,000 years ago. And I'm like, what is happening? Like,
it was... I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it was, at times, tough to follow.
Yeah, I think if they had done it in order of 7,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, 3,200, present day, and then you could have had the big reveal of the one flashback, instead of all these different ones, but the one flashback of Icarus and Ajax talking about it, and you suddenly go, oh, but we've watched them through all this time, and they've always been so good, I can't believe... Whereas instead, it was so much jumped around, you're kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah, the way it was quite... I mean, my daughter watched it. I mean, she's obviously a fan of Marvel MCU, but she's only 13, so her attention span away from her iPad's limited at the best of times. But she didn't follow it at all. Like, she really struggled. We paused 5-6 times watching it on Disney Plus so I could fully explain what was going on. And keep in mind, I mean, I'm struggling myself, and I pay a lot of attention because obviously we talk about these things on the podcast. So if I'm going to watch something, I tend to watch it a couple of times just because the first time you're taking it all in, and the second time I try and write a few notes and things.
Yeah, same as me. First time you watch the movie, the second time you watch the details.
Yeah, in essence, definitely. But for this, like you just said then about the jumping around, kind of is where you struggled to follow it and didn't enjoy it as much as you think you should. For me, this is where, like I've talked about things that sort of take you out of the story. This, for me, really irked me in as much as I knew he'd killed her.
Yeah.
And the reason why I knew that is because he was kind of shady anyway. He was weird. You know what I mean? He was off. He wasn't like a go ahead, happy-go-lucky guy. He was off, and you'd seen that anyway.
Yep.
And we knew that scene existed. Now, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Marvel put cutscenes into trailers to throw people off. So there is that element of it. But that was such a big line.
Yeah.
I like just point blank refused it. So I knew that at some point these two were going to be sat there talking, and he had told everyone he'd not seen her.
Yeah.
So I knew he killed her. I knew something must have happened.
Yeah.
And he was the bad guy.
Yeah.
And that kind of ruined that whole next act, because when it got revealed, I didn't have a kind of moment, because I think I even messaged you like, Rob Stark can kiss my ass or something like that, because it was nothing. There was no impact. Yeah. Like, the characters on the screen are like, no, and I'm watching it going, I knew an hour ago.
Yeah, they were like, no, I can't believe it. And then we were all sat there going, really? Look at the signs.
Yeah, and that disappointed me because it got ruined by their own trailer. If I saw a spoiler somewhere, then that's on me.
Yeah.
But that was their own trailer. Their own trailer spoiled a massive plot point.
Something as big as that you know is coming up. Like, Marvel are very good at editing things out of trailers.
Big time. Yeah, they digitally remove
the whole Hulk running through Wakanda.
Yeah,
in Infinity War, and he wasn't there.
And also the changing of the suits they're wearing and stuff.
Yeah, in
CGI.
In the new Spider-Man film, Wong says something, then doesn't actually say it in the film. So these sort of things happen, but in general, the scene is in the actual film. It just might be changed slightly.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, you know full well, even if they change that scene slightly, that scene is still coming up.
Yeah.
So, there's no kind of, oh my God, I can't believe he's the bad guy. Because you're like, well, we know he's lying because we haven't seen that scene yet.
Yeah, I know he's lied. I know he has lied about seeing her. So there's an ulterior motive. Even if I haven't gone as far as he's killed her, my brain has just gone, well, now we know there's a big secret. There's something.
Yeah, I haven't seen her for years. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
We've still got that scene to come up yet.
No, you're lying. So, yeah, I mean, that was kind of disappointing. And I think the thing that disappointed me was the fact they ruined it with their own trailer.
Yeah.
The next thing I'm going to talk about really with the film is what I felt, and I said this to you at the start when we started talking about the film, is there are certain things in this that I was like, oh, that's good. But then I do look at it and think, this could have been so much funnier, better.
Yeah.
And the bit that I think it could have been so much funnier and better is literally the reunion. So Icarus and Cersei and Sprite are like, we need to put the band back together. We need to go and meet everyone. The funniest one is obviously when they go to see King... what's his name?
Kingo,
yeah. Who's the biggest star in Bollywood.
Yes.
And he's starred in movies for centuries, pretending he's his granddad,
That's it, yeah.
Granddad.
The entire family is his well-known Bollywood.
And his manservant has worked for him for 50 years, and they're like, how? And he's like, oh, he knows everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's so wonderful to meet all of the Eternals, and they're like, dude.
Yeah. What do you mean you've told him? Yeah.
Yeah. Told him everything.
And his little camera so that he can document everything that happens.
How many cameras did you bring, young man? Yeah. He calls him young man as well, which I love that little as a part. But genuinely, that was really funny. And I kind of thought to myself, you could have had a really funny montage of stuff of going from one, like the Festos one had a little bit of emotion to it with the kid and stuff.
And then they did amusement of the table.
The comedy moment from the table, which of course was in the trailer as well.
Let me guess, this is Vibranium. Bang!
Yeah.
IKEA.
IKEA, full catalogue, yeah. So you had that as well. You could have had, I kind of felt like they just really, Makari just kind of got forgotten about during all of this.
Yeah.
And then she's just sat on the ship waiting to leave. I mean, what's that about?
Yeah.
That was kind of naff. You could have had any number of funny possible things for that character for a reunion. The whole storyline. So, did you fully follow the storyline of Thena and Gilgamesh? Because I struggled to understand what was actually going on with Thena. I know it gets explained that the memories and all of this stuff, and she's basically broken. She's been made by a celestial and hasn't had her memory wiped or something like that. But did you follow it fully? Because I've watched the film twice now, and I still am not entirely sure I follow that storyline.
No, you're right. Yeah, her memories are coming back, but they're kind of, as it comes back, they scramble her brain and make her act out really violently to everyone that's around her.
Doesn't she just? Yeah.
But why? Why would her memories make her fight the ones that are closest? It was a bit strange.
I did wonder, and again, when I watched it the second time, because the first time I kind of created a theory in my mind, right?
We like a good
and then when I
watched
watched the second time, I was thinking to myself, maybe I'll see the hints of this now, but I didn't. It was the same. I was still confused. But in my mind, I was thinking to myself, if she had all the memories of where they'd done this before on other planets, and basically created a civilization that then a celestial bursts out of, maybe she was attacking all those around her because in her mind, they're the bad guys.
Well, in theory, yes, because as we've worked out, that actually... Well, I say we worked out, it was drip-fed to us.
Told to us quite nicely,
The Celestials are born inside a planet, and they basically build themselves up using the power of the planet until they're big enough to wipe out the planet by coming out of it. Which is pretty messed up. I think there's as ways of dying go, a Celestial coming out of the middle of your planet is a way to go.
Definitely. How did your planet die? Well, let me tell you a story, my friend.
Fun story, yeah. So in that sense, the people who are helping this to happen are surely not the good guys because you've just killed an entire planet. So in that sense, is she attacking them guys because she doesn't want it to happen, and she is literally trying to protect the planet from the bad guys that keep letting it happen?
That's me. Yeah, I'm kind of. Yeah, I'm kind of confused by that as well. We just obviously talked about that with the kind of the memories and the memories being wiped thing. We learned this via Cersei basically taking over the mantle from Ajak as the leader.
Yes.
And she has this glowing orb thing, this passed her by Ajak when Ajak died, and that allows her to commune with the Celestial. And the Celestial, not the first time, by the way, doesn't fess up, but the second time, like, gives her the lowdown, tells her everything.
Icarus is very happy about the fact that he's been passed over for the top job.
He has a face on him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't exactly buy her balloons to celebrate.
No, but at the same time, he did bump off the last boss, so
yeah.
You kind of getting a promotion for that. I don't know, buddy. I don't know. I don't think you get a pat on the back.
No.
But the way he kills her, of course, is he actually kills her by throwing her to deviants.
Yeah.
Deviants have survived because they were frozen in the ice, and as global warming, somewhat ironically, nice little touch there, as thawing this out, deviants are re-emerging.
Yeah.
And there seems to be some sort of uber deviant who is killing them off and taking their abilities.
Yeah.
And gradually transforming to become more humanoid.
Yep.
And when they have a situation where they go to find Druig in these villages, and it's attacked by deviants, and we actually lose Gilgamesh at this point.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to protect Thena.
Poor guy.
And again, when Gilgamesh is killed by this deviant and his kind of ability is taken, the deviant again becomes even more humanoid and actually is able to speak at this point.
And that confuses people, for sure. Yep.
Yeah. So we learn via this conflab between Cersei and the Celestial that deviants were actually made by the Celestial as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of at this point that you get to see that deviants versus Eternals purely is a Celestial balls up, in essence. So the Celestial created the deviants to go to planets to kill the predatory life, so that way civilizations can be born, because civilizations and development and humanity, for example, growing is what creates the energy within a planet for the seedling of a Celestial to be born from the planet.
Yep. I'm on board so far. Yeah.
Yeah. This film had a lot, didn't it? This film had a lot of information. And so that's explained. And in essence, the deviants didn't stop with killing the dinosaurs, which is what we're seeing. They went after humans. So the Celestial, realising this, decided, okay, that I need to create someone else who's got a very different, mindset, and gave them compassion, gave them abilities, basically created them to be more mimicking of real life, and sent them in to kill the deviants. So the deviants would land on a planet, take out the predatory species, then the Eternals would come in, take out the deviants, allowing life to thrive. When life reached a certain thing, boom, out pops a brand new Celestial.
Yep.
Whew, right, okay. That's a lot. Right, again, a little segue here. This film is a lot. It's 2 hours 20, and there is a lot rammed in it, like information overload rammed in it, to the point that this podcast is all over the place because there's just so much.
Yeah, we're almost an hour in already. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is worth saying that I do believe that with the Eternals movie, I think it would have been better as a Disney Plus show. I think this story that they tried to tell in one movie would have been so much better over 10 episodes.
100%. Can you imagine this on a Disney Plus show? This would probably be a lot better, because
I really think so.
You can have it building up again. You know how I was saying about having it in chronological order?
Yeah.
Each episode could have been that timeline building to what is now.
Yeah. I mean, you could still tell it in the same format of episode 1, you meet the characters where they are now, stuff. You could meet Cersei and Dane. Dane finds out, and Cersei's like, okay, fine, I'll tell you. Episode 2, she tells the story of how they arrived, what they did, who they served. Episode 3, it's we all split up because we had these arguments, but we planted civilization all over the planet.
Yeah.
Episode 4, and like you said, but the level of detail in this film and the level of information could have been then spaced out in such a way, like bite size. People could have taken it in so much better episodically.
All of a sudden, instead of a 2.5 hour film with a lot happening, you've got 8 to 10 hours of.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And it just. I just think the pacing and the spacing would have allowed you to absorb it a lot more.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I've watched this film twice and I'm still not sure on a lot of bits that I'm not sure about. But, like I said, I felt like they kind of missed the chance of some real comedy with the reunions kind of bits. We then have the situation where Gilgamesh dies, and it kind of leads us to me. This next bit is I'm like a bit of a grey area kind of thing, really, where it seems like they don't fully know what they're going to do or what they're doing or why they're doing it. And Cersei obviously now is fully aware of what their real mission is and isn't interested. Cersei's in love with a human. Why would she want to blow the planet up to allow a Celestial to be born? It doesn't take long for Icarus to show his true colours at this point.
No, by this point, he's already like, I'm taking on the villain mantle. Here we go.
Big time, yeah. He goes full villain. Icarus's full villain leads to something that happens in this film, which I don't think I've ever seen before. And I'd love your take on this.
Go on.
I don't think I've ever seen a superhero genre movie where someone who is classed as a hero, part of the group, just goes, "Nah, I'm out." Kingo won't take a side.
Yeah.
Because he agrees with Icarus, but just doesn't agree enough that he'd attack his family.
Yep.
And he's still, like, at the end of everything that happens, still says, like, I still think that Icarus was right. I don't think I think that's brand new. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I kept expecting him to show back up, like, at the last minute, like, oh, here he comes to save the day. But no, he genuinely just walked away.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole, I'm a hero. Oh, I agree with the bad guy. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm still not going to become a bad guy.
No.
So, I'm out. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you think that's unique?
Yeah.
There's so much going on. It's easy to just overlook stuff like this because Sprite goes with him, but Sprite's in love with him. So it's kind of like, yeah, we've seen that a few times.
Yeah.
The one thing that Sprite does do, which shocked me, is she does actually fully stab Cersei to kill Cersei.
Yeah.
Tries to kill. I mean, that shocked me. That was like him, Sprite going off because she's in love. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. But actually then going full villain mode anyway, that really shocked me.
I didn't see it coming, that, to be fair, yeah.
No, that did shock me. But we do have the Eternals fight then, at that point. Druig and Macaria thing.
I
kind of hinted at.
Yeah, I thought they were, without it being, like, told, look at us. Yeah. I kind of assumed there was definitely a something there.
Yeah, I think so too. But Druig's kind of... The idea is, as this Celestial's waking up, Druig is going to harness the power of all the Eternals together and try and put the thing back to sleep.
Yeah, basically.
It's a good plan. It's a solid plan. Unfortunately, the strongest of the Eternals is planning to kill Druig if he tries.
Yeah.
So... I say the strongest. I'm not sure he is stronger than Thena. Do you think he's stronger than Thena?
Power-wise, probably. Like, his actual powers he has, yes, but as an actual character and person, no.
Oh, yeah. But just like Thena with like the ability to generate the shield, like because he fires his laser eyes, and I think there's a line, I'm pretty sure, where he says something like, "You don't want to fight me," and she's like, "You've never had to fight me."
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, ooh, snap.
Yeah, and you kind of think like he can fly. He's got the eye of power thing.
Yeah.
So in theory, yeah, he's completely overpowered compared to everyone else. Yeah. Ridiculously overpowered. But if it was a one-on-one fight with someone like Thena, If she got him hand to hand, I think she beats him.
I think she wins.
She scratched his eyes out first so that you can't do the laser thing. But
well, because it's funny, because like you said about the kind of overpowered thing, you think about how fast our speedster is in this.
Yes.
And she beats the crap out of him for a good long time.
Yep.
And like we said about Phastos, using his technology, if you like, to kind of hook him down. In essence, they keep him busy. They keep him fighting and keep him locked down. Do you think... Because obviously Sprite doesn't pull punches. Sprite literally tries to kill Cersei, which, considering they were living together for a couple of centuries, or a century, is kind of crazy when you think of it like that.
Yes. Like, that is literally like, they are the closest to family they've got with each other. And then she's all just kind of like, no, the guy I like told me to do this. Kill ya. Yeah.
Yeah, which that's bad. That's pretty awful. So Sprite doing that messed up beyond all recognition. But do you feel that perhaps Icarus was pulling his punches a little bit? Or not? I'm not sure, because at times you're like, no, he's straight up trying to kill him. Yeah. But then when you think about how overpowered he is, you got to believe that if he wanted to kill him, he would have done. Or at least, Druig, for example. Druig, he basically pummels down into the ground, but then just walks away. He doesn't like.
He could have done the finishing blow.
Yeah. It's like when I say pulled punch, like literally just wouldn't give that final shot to finish it.
Yeah. I think maybe
there might be an element.
No, yeah, I think there's an aspect of it where he's spent all these centuries with these people. So
7,000 years.
I think it's a case of he's stopping them, not killing them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense. The irony, of course, from me anyway, is he destroys the ship.
Yeah.
So in stopping them, they're going to be on the planet that's going to explode. So they are actually going to die.
Yeah.
It's not like he's stopping them, jumping on a ship and going, right, this planet's going to explode, jump on or die with it. He literally takes the ship out. So there is no... by stopping them, he is killing them. But he doesn't want to be the one to put the final punch in himself, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think, like you say, like, he doesn't want to be the person who kills them himself. Yeah. However, like you say, by leaving them all on the planet that he's getting the Celestial out of, they're all going to die, and probably him along with it. It's like a suicide mission almost.
It is, yeah.
However, if he's not the person... It's like supplying the bullets to kill someone but not pulling the trigger yourself.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be the person who does the deed. However, he's not afraid... If his mission is to do it, he's not going to let them stop him at the same time.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Definitely. Okay, so we have this final battle, and we have this Celestial emerging in the final battle. Now, there's a couple of aspects to this. One, visually, that was really cool. By the way. Visually, that was very cool.
Yeah.
Two, how messed up is planet Earth right now?
I would say there's some definite issues.
Because that would have caused tsunamis.
Earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes. Yeah, it's happening. Yeah.
You've literally got what is a creature part emerged out of the planet. I mean, because like they were showing shots from space. You can see the thing's head and its hands.
Yeah. It's a big old thing, and it is coming potentially from the core. So therefore, there is now a trench that goes all the way into the core of the Earth.
Yeah. So is our planet just now broke beyond all belief? Do you know? Do you see what I mean? I'm like, this film had so much in it, but there's like some real basic stuff now where everything seems to be carrying on as normal. Once because Cersei manages to stop and basically freezes it and kills it in essence.
Yep.
Changes the molecular mass of this to solid ice. I think.
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think solid ice. And so but then we get this scene of her just chatting to Dane, like walking along on a lovely summer's day. Are you telling me the whole Earth hasn't been devastated by flood? I mean, what's gone on? I'm kind of just bemused by that seems to have happened. And there's even like a thing about a news report, like seems to be like a giant head has emerged from the ocean. I'm like, Yeah.
And where's all the
surely
water
this
gone that is displaced?
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad it wasn't just me that went there
was a
with
thing.
that.
And something else I actually thought, again, very silly,
Yeah.
but the whole global warming thing that they've already, like...
Yeah.
So this woman can turn water into ice.
Yeah. Just go solve some stuff for us.
Go solve some stuff. And secondly, she's turned this big guy into ice.
Yeah.
If
did
global
that fix the
warming
problem?
is a problem,
Yeah, good point. He's going to thaw and we're in
at
even
some
bigger
point
trouble.
he's going to thaw,
Yeah.
and all that water that he is covered in is going to go somewhere.
Yeah, so there is a lot, again. Like I said, with this film, it kind of just feels like you said, it didn't feel like an MCU film that wasn't connected. It does just feel like this film has happened. So much is in it has happened.
Yeah.
And we've not seen any fallout from it yet. There's no after effects. Because the other question, I think is a really valid question I've seen online a lot, is where were the Avengers?
Yeah.
Literally, a creature is emerging from the planet's core to destroy the Earth, and no one is doing anything about this. Like, no one is, got on the phone to anyone. I mean, are the Avengers completely disbanded? Is there no one left?
Yeah, like, we make this joke about things happen in every movie, and you kind of sit there and go, well, where the heck are the other ones in?
Yeah.
What's his name? Mysterio in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big worldwide event happening. It happens in London. Thor is known for helping London, but obviously we know he's away with the Guardians at the moment.
Yeah.
However, where are the rest of them? In this movie, something big like that are happening in the planet and no one comes in to help.
Yeah. I hope we're going to get more into this. I hope with the Disney Plus shows, for example, we are going to at least get a lot of references and a lot of kind of, since this happened, because we've had the blip mentioned as like this massive event, which it was. You'd like to think that this, since the emergence of, since the emergence, the world is now terrified of, do you know what I mean? Just like something that's going to give us a bit more depth to it. Ever since all the Pacific Islands got flooded.
Yeah, Jamaica. Nah, that's underwater now.
Jamaica? No, she wanted to go by herself. But like I said, Cersei does manage to stop it. And we have this kind of, not rushed isn't the right word, but we have this kind of odd ending for me where we get resolutions for everything. And it feels like the resolutions are like done. So like Icarus decides he's going to kill himself rather than live in a world where he has let down a Celestial.
Yeah.
So he flies into the sun. I mean, being he's called Icarus, hashtag ironic.
Yeah, he flies. That was a little bit of a facepalm moment. Icarus is flying too close to the sun.
Yeah, and dead.
I think I actually felt the whole cinema go. Oh.
I think the thing is with stuff like this is sometimes you need a line or sometimes you need something that gives us that little bit more understanding. Like, for example, if there is a cutscene somewhere where the whole legend of Icarus flying too close to the sun was him wanting to kill himself at one point and one of them stopping him from doing it.
Yeah.
Right, so you just imagine Cersei stops him and the whole legend of Icarus flying too close to the sun was all because he'd had enough, he was done and he wanted to die.
Yeah.
And he was going to, but then he stopped himself.
Yeah.
This time he goes and does it, you'd all go, oh, well, he finally got his wish, he finally done it.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, him as a character isn't a happy-go-lucky kind of guy from start to finish.
No.
And he made the decision to kill Ajak because of his belief in the Celestials. But you actually saw him very emotional, very angry over it. Almost like he hates himself for doing it, but he's devoted to his god, And you do see that in humanity. People do things in the name of religion, gods, and all sorts that they don't... They kind of like, oh, this is awful, but I have to.
Yes.
And so... That was interesting, but his character, the way that just kind of happened, felt very, oh, what? Oh, that's the end of him then. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I get you.
Do you know what I mean? So that was a bit odd. Sprite's thing, she had enough power left to turn Sprite human, so Sprite can actually live a life. that's kind of a nice thing. But can you? Isn't that like the dream though? You know, going back to childhood and getting to live your life knowing everything you know now.
Yep.
But she knows 7,000 years worth of stuff.
I mean, she has got saving accounts from like day dot, so she doesn't. Even,
Oh, she's fine.
You know what I mean? Like,
she's loaded.
Okay. Yeah. But
Yeah,
like,
she's gonna be
there's
fine.
a lot of mistakes that kid ain't gonna make.
Yeah, you're gonna be all right. Yeah, I think you're gonna be all right, kid. But yeah, so that's kind of like that character's kind of done because got no abilities or anything anymore.
Yep.
Sprites living a normal human life.
She's now sugar
We do
free.
catch up. Yeah. We do catch up with our Bollywood superstar, who's basically going to go back to that. He's kind of like,
I'm happy enough. Yeah.
yeah, I'm happy enough. I still think Icarus was right, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like my son and
Whatevs.
grandson are going to have fantastic careers.
Yes, I agree. Yes, I think that dynasty is going to continue for some time.
Yeah.
His manservant's brilliant.
Yep.
Throughout this, he did at one point when he decided to storm off. It was actually kind of quite a poignant moment where the manservant thanks the Eternals, and I thought that was kind of wonderful. He basically turned to them all and said, "Thank you for everything you've done for humanity."
Yes.
I was kind of like, wow, that's special. I like that. I think it was meant to be comedic, but I thought that was quite touching.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think it was as funny as it was meant. I think it was
Yeah.
more heartfelt than funny.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. So that's the kind of resolution there, and then we have I think it's Druig, Thena, and our speedster, whose name I cannot remember.
Macari.
They are back on a ship, and they are going off because they want to track down other Eternals to try and prevent what nearly happened on Earth happening in other places.
Yeah.
So okay, that's a noble quest, and I kind of thought to myself, well, maybe we'll see them show up in Guardians or something. You
Yeah.
know, like
Put a little
that
crossover.
could be like a fun crossover thing at some point.
They're all in a
But that
bar and
leaves
they
us-
see these three walk into the bar
Yeah,
and stuff. Yeah.
and just freak Quill out because he's half celestial. Like, oh, I don't feel right around these people. But then you've got Cersei left on Earth, obviously our our Bollywood friend, and also we have Festus gone back to his family, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
But they're the ones left, and we have her talking to Dane, and then all of a sudden the sky darkens, and the freaking celestial that sent them there appears over Earth.
Yeah. He's
That
pretty
would
big.
be terrifying, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
he's pretty large.
I mean, Thanos showing up, doing his thing, ripped the planet, a new one. To just be stood there in the park looking up, I can't even imagine how terrifying that would be.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine, like, looking up. What is that? Oh, is that a
That
face?
is a creature that is 5 times the size of my planet, and he's staring at me.
Yeah.
Terrifying. He shows up, he takes her, and I think he says to her, "You betrayed me. I'm going to scan your memories and see if all the people of this planet are worth saving," and then vanishes.
Yeah.
What? I mean,
yeah, what is very much the right thing here? Yeah, I will scan and see if and I will have my judgment or something. And it's like, okay.
Does
that mean that
don't know.
everything else that now happens in the MCU is going to be kind of dependent on what this celestial thinks
this celestial,
of Earth?
Because I mean, I don't know. I mean, when is Guardians of the Galaxy going to deal with this? Perhaps is Celestial Peter being part Celestial? Is this someone going to try and get hold of him and say, "Hey, Pete, can you have a chat with your family?"
Yeah.
Earth's kind of in trouble here, dude. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like I said, this film. There's so many times in the MCU when films have been brought in and characters have been introduced where we've kind of gone, "Oh, this is weird. This isn't going to work." this worked, and they're okay, and they're part of it, but it feels abstract at the moment, because there's nothing, although they did connect it, the Celestials we've heard of before and stuff like that, right now there's no other things in the MCU that is linking directly to this.
Yeah.
We need, like Moon Knight is going to debut the 30th of March.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love a massive part of that, because apparently that starts in London. He's working in a gift shop in a museum.
Now, I wonder if there's a crossover here with Dane Whitman. If they're both working in museums, they're both in London, surely that screams crossover somewhere for these two.
Just got to, and you'd love there to at least be some references in that of, like, the global devastation caused by the emergence of this creature, and then this creature arrived in the sky. Because, you talk about, like, the lunar orbit affecting oceans. Surely a bloody celestial appearance going to mess everything right up.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of crazy, because you can go so far into this applying real science and real things to an absolutely fantastical comic book world.
Yeah.
But they have grounded it in reality the most of the time, so we should see some cause and effect. And one of the things I've liked a lot about the Disney Plus shows is they've showed us, like, real impact on people from these big events. Like, we watched the movie and we were like, yeah, Avengers go, they're killing everyone. And then you get to the TV series and they're like, yeah, during that battle, 5,000 civilians died.
And you're like, oh,
whoa, damn. So yeah, I've liked that aspect. So I'd kind of like to see more of that, and let's see what happens. Moon Knight's up first, so let's see, I guess.
I hope so. And I wonder if maybe Blade gets a little bit of a nod in it as well then.
Yeah, I mean, Moon Knight, Blade, the kind of the dark Avengers, if you like.
Yeah.
The kind of
Dane Whitman and all that sort of thing. Yeah, it could be interesting.
Yeah. It could be interesting. So the last thing we need to talk about, because we've already talked about the Dane Whitman after credit, is we need to talk about what was the mid credit.
And that's the end of the podcast. Thank you everybody for listening.
Watermelon sugar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't think casting is a big issue in the MCU. I think 99% of the time, other than a Cockney playing a Russian, they've done it very well.
But this just screams, let's find a new demographic to aim at.
Yeah. Harry Styles shows up as Thanos' brother, Star Fox.
So, my little sister is 22 yesterday when we're recording this. And she has zero interest in the MCU because that's what her dad and her brother like. And her boyfriend, likes it a bit, but she's not too bothered. Oh, Harry Styles? Okay.
Yeah, I can sense perhaps this movie got some attention because of one cameo.
Considering the only thing she asked for her birthday was tickets to go see him on stage, all of a sudden, him appearing... She's watched the end credit scene. She hasn't watched the rest of the movie. She's YouTubed the end credit scene and can't wait to watch a movie with Harry Styles in it. And I'm like, when we say about things being forced, this to me is like forcing it open because... Do you know what? Most teenage girls don't watch Marvel.
Yeah,
Harry Styles make them.
It'd have been, almost like if an after credit scene of Shang-Chi had a K-pop band, show up and just be like, oh, we're also heroes. Like, what?
Yeah.
So forgetting who the actor is for a moment, which isn't easy, by the way, but forgetting who he is for the moment.
Yeah.
We've been introduced to a character into the MCU who is Thanos' brother.
Eros, is it his name?
Yeah, Eros, I believe so. Star Fox is kind of like his code name. But just for a moment then, let's just dive into that. One, different dads, different mums.
Number one of them got the good genes.
Yeah, one of them don't. So the idea is they're Eternals, but apparently Thanos has a deviant gene.
Yep. Apparently so.
Now, I'm going to discuss something now that you're going to hate.
Go on.
So I have a theory, and you hate it.
We like theories. We like theories on here.
Put it out there.
We actually put our theories on our TikTok channel. If you haven't given it a like yet, go have a look. You will find all of our theories that we come up with kind of from these shows. We then put onto there, so don't miss out.
Yeah, definitely. Good promo, man. Good promo. Very professional. Yep. So the theory is, or the discussion point really is, we learn about Thanos wiping out half the population on all these planets because he talks about resources and all these things. My theory goes that what if actually Thanos was at war, if you like, with Celestials? He knew how Celestials were born, and he knew to prevent that, you had to stop these populations reaching a certain point, certain technology, certain thing, and to do that, you wipe out half, you delay it by thousands of years.
Yep.
Now, the reason why I'm talking about this, and I know me and you have had discussions, and you're like, I don't know, because the MCU, he never references it at all.
Mm-hmm.
My kind of counter to that is, imagine, we learn that his home planet's been devastated, and we do see it. It's like split on its axis, the gravity's all over the place. Perhaps a Celestial emerged from his home planet. Perhaps that's why he became the Mad Titan and went on the rampage he was on. And when you're trying to gather followers and you're trying to explain what you're trying to do...
I'm here to stop mad people coming from the middle of your planet. Yeah, all right, buddy.
Yeah, and kind of like...
You would sound exactly like a Mad Titan at that point.
He does, but, you know, he's in essence created a narrative for himself where he comes across as a saviour, you know, and you think about that guy, I can't think of his name, but he's his wizard, if you like, and he often says when he arrives, you will be dying at the hands of Thanos, but rejoice because your whole planet's now been saved.
Yeah.
And then they kill half the population and move on. Well, in essence, yeah, if he's doing this to planets where Celestials are potentially being born from, he is, in essence, saving the other half of the people. So it's an interesting thing, and I do wonder, because I had the theory, and I've seen a few other people have thought the same.
Yeah.
With it being introduced to Thanos' brother, it will be very interesting just to see if they do touch on that. Even if it is completely backsold, like, oh, didn't like that, but now that theory is out there, I like that.
Dude,
let's
the
dive
Avengers
on
are
that.
bad guys.
No, not
They
though.
killed
This is the
Thanos
thing.
and stopped the world being destroyed, which then meant the Eternals had to come and do it themselves.
Yeah.
Tony Stark's a villain.
No, absolutely not. I'm just, and this is not me saying at any point that Thanos was the good guy. This is me saying that we perhaps don't fully understand what his motivations were because he never made it clear.
Why did no one just
But
sit down with a cup of tea with him?
Well, exactly.
Come on, Thanos, talk to me. What is it the reason? Like,
But
why are you
it
doing
might
this?
be interesting, don't you think, that if his brother does come out with, well, why do you think he was doing that? And everyone goes, because he said that the world didn't have enough resources, didn't have this. Like, well, that got his followers jacked. You know, his followers believed him.
Yeah.
He went around these planets that were starving and these armies and went, hey, if you follow me, we'll make sure this never happens to anyone else.
Yeah.
But in reality, he was doing it because our home planet got ripped apart by a friggin' Celestial, and he wanted to stop them, but he couldn't challenge them directly, so he was trying to get the Infinity Stone. I mean, don't get me wrong, man, there's plot holes in all of it, of course, but it's just a fun theory that I think you could potentially now dive into that, and it could potentially open up why the hell we've got Thanos' brother here.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, that character being introduced with this particular actor is purely throwaway, and as you said, pure pandering kind of nonsense.
Yeah, I'm hoping there's more to it. I believe with the MCU and Kevin Feige, like, there is more to it.
Yeah.
And I have all toes and fingers and eyes crossed that it isn't just a case of, how can we get, like, the films are doing well, but, you know, actually, how could we do better? Well,
how can we increase our viewership with teen to 20-year-old girls? Ooh, I know, Harry Styles. Watermelon sugar. Anyway, that is it. That's our discussion on the Eternals. It has been as in-depth but as light-hearted as we could possibly make it, because it is a lot, that film.
Yes.
Even though we've done over an hour and 20, I'm sure there's probably still bits we've missed, and apologies for that, but there's only so much.
Yeah.
But thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope there's some bits in this we picked out that made you think. Get in touch with us. You can email us at any point, Sam or Stefan at stuffandthangspodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, as we mentioned. We also have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, basically, we upload the podcast to it, so you can listen to that via YouTube at any point as well. We're free across all the platforms, so wherever you can find us, enjoy. If anyone tries to charge for us, let us know, because they should be giving us a kickback.
Yeah.
But anyway, big thank you again. We'll be back really soon to talk more Marvel stuff. Marvel Mondays will roll as soon as Moon Knight debuts, which is the 30th of March. The very next Monday, you'll have a show from us talking all about it. Until then, you keep listening to us for all your Star Wars fix with the Book of Boba Fett. The Walking Dead returns in February also. So, we'll be back real soon.
Are you sure you're ready for that, Mr. Whitman?
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.